Don't press the wrong button.
One.
Whoop.
Welcome. Just change the tune up a little bit and made a little bit of Christmas spirit. Episode 77, Christmas, sharing, fun, and WA property. That's what we're about. Our final show for 2021. I'm TV. He's Officer D'Souza, and this is Property Avenue WA, where we do lots of different things, and the focus is on WA footy. Don't mind our headwear, but we thought we'd get in.
You said, "Hey, whoa! You just said the focus is on WA footy. Did you know that?
Did I?
Yes,
I didn't. Did I? I told you I've had a busy week. WA property. Oh my God!
Footy is the other show that we do.
Yeah. So we're doing WA property, and of course we'll have our regular segments being OD stats, and we'll review the sales and the rental market. More so than having a specific topic tonight, we thought there's been so much different stuff. We thought we'd sort of focus on different property headlines and have a chat and exchange our thoughts and opinions about a few different things that are going on. Of course, Oscar's favourite segment, What's on the Notice Board. Always like to finish with an if question, and I'm guessing you can work out the theme of that question, probably be along the lines of something to do with Christmas. And me looking at you with that thing bouncing around all night, that's going to be really difficult. But yeah, look, we hope you can enjoy the night, and perhaps tomorrow as our podcast will be available. But if you've got any questions, we welcome you to join us and send us your questions. You can do that via Instagram. You can do that via our what else we got? Twitter. And of course, we've got a live chat line if you're watching our show. So join us, and let's have some fun. And at the same time, we'll do what we can when it comes to all things property. So, mate, how you been? Merry Christmas. Have you had a good week or fortnight? What's new?
Merry Christmas to you too, mate. To anyone that is watching, and certainly for those that are listening after the event, mate, I'm really good. For no other particular real estate reason, but in particular, it's Christmas. And because I've got young girls, Christmas basically gets better and better every year for me. I really look forward to it. And now we're 4 days away till Christmas, which is a bit surreal in terms of actually saying that. But I'm really good. It's been a busy year. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of weeks. And I can't wait for 2022. And I can't wait to talk about what we think is going to happen in our local WA property market. So we will pull that apart over the next 45 minutes. But I am fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. And I think it's interesting you say that with regard to, where it's 4 days away, because I'm a bit like you. I said to Jude the other day, we sort of got our Christmas shopping and that organised 3 or 4 weeks ago, knowing we had a busy time ahead of us. And then we went to Geraldton, and we're only going to be there for a week or so. We ended up being there for nearly 3 weeks for different reasons. And and got back here in Perth, and it's just been nonstop. And like you, I just love Christmas, but also the fact that we've got 5 beautiful grandchildren, and we've just had one of our granddaughters with us for the last couple of days, and just so special. We rushed home to make sure that we got the place decorated, ready for the kids, which is just as important as it is I love it, but at the same time, I love it for what it means to the kids. Yeah, and certainly with her being there. And I think all our homes, you go around, like I think you made a comment last episode. Watch this episode 70. No, this is 77. But I think last episode you made mention that you took the girls and had a look at some of the Christmas lights around, how the effort that people put into their homes. And then, of course, we've got the other issue. We are, as far as our conveyancing business is concerned, our staff are just under the pump, like most conveyancers, trying to get settlements through before Christmas. And, of course, come Friday, pretty much the banks and the settlement industry stop come lunchtime. So if you haven't got your settlement through by then, and some settlement agents are open next week between Christmas and New Year. I know as far as we're concerned, if we've got any settlements happening, we will be attending to those. But the plan is to try and have a break during that period. But it's a crazy time.
Just on that, TV, looking ahead then to January, will you and your team, or will settlement agents and settlements actually happen in that first week of January from the 4th of January, or will it be the week after that?
Oh no, absolutely the 4th of January. In our case, I mean we've had a settlement agent who said to us, "Oh no, I won't be doing any settlements the week, that first week of January, like the 4th." Which we find a little bit absurd, because at the end of the day, we're talking about people's stresses. It's a big deal. There's money involved, etc., etc. So and of course, as we've been talking about quite often over the last 12 months or so, we've been talking about the fact that delays in settlements and delays in building, and of course we've got. And I've got it firsthand. I've got my son, my eldest son, and his wife getting into their new home. They've got a settlement due on the 4th of January. And so they're madly, and they're under a lot of pressure because the home that they are renting is on the market, and their lease is up, and they're saying, no, we're not extending. You need to move. So I'm seeing that firsthand, but we've spoken about that a number of times over the last 12 months. So, we're definitely, as far as my staff are concerned, and of course, it's not just, let's do settlement on the 4th of January. It's all the prep work that's got to be done prior to settlement. So that's all got to be put into place as well, not only just the fact of settlement being done. But there's a fair bit going on. And
just on that, just whilst you're talking about the settlements, the agency settlement agency business itself, obviously there's a strong correlation between the amount of settlement agent work that you do and there's a strong correlation to the real estate market. So would I be right in saying that your year closing 2021 is well up on 2020? And if I am right with that, have you got any idea? Are we up 15% in terms of volume of settlements, do you reckon, or is it more?
I would suggest that it's more. In our case, I have to be really honest. It's my intention over the Christmas period to sit down and just see where we are at in that sense. But I think you go one step further. It's not just the settlement industry, of course, absolutely it is, but there's all those other industries that are attached to the real estate and the conveyancing world, and that's the removalists, that's the pest companies, that's the building inspection companies, it's the electrical companies, it's the plumbing companies, and all those other bits that go with making a settlement happen. All the processes, the finance companies, the banks are under pressure. I had a discussion yesterday with someone and sort of said, look, you need to be really careful with your timeframes, particularly at the moment, because as we've emphasised in the last couple of episodes, timeframes are super important with your contracts because of the fact of you've got a holiday period, you've got people away on holidays, you've got some businesses are closed, some people will be on skeleton staff, and of course you've also got a situation where you've got businesses that are struggling to get staff, so they're under the pressure, and some are just closing down because they need a rest. They simply need a rest. And I heard someone the other day talk about the hospitality industry, where they are not working the hours they could work because they can't get the staff. The staff they have got are exhausted.
Mate, so, just on that, I caught up with a mate last week, Tuesday night, I think it was last Tuesday night, and we went to the raffles. So the raffles in Applecross, great place, always happening. It's always all action over there. And we went to the raffles and we didn't make a booking or anything, rolled up there at 6 o'clock, I think it was, for dinner. And when we got there was a sign on the door saying, we are closed tonight. The restaurant at the raffles in Applecross is closed tonight because we're unable to find staff for tonight. Unbelievable.
So what we'll do, I think we won't go into it because I've got something that I want to extend on that, and that's with regard to February 5th and staffing and business. So how about we go to it's all about you in this segment. And you're going to like this. It's going to be OD stats. I told you I'd changed it up to a little bit of bit more of a Christmassy theme. So it's over to you, my friend. It's all about you.
That was pathetic. Okay, so look,
I've got an effort into that.
yeah, I can see. So let's just talk about our local WA real estate market, or we'll get more localised, and let's just talk specifically about Perth. But I think whatever trends we're seeing in Perth in the real estate market, both in sales and also in rentals, we're also seeing in our regional markets as well. That'll be south of Perth, but I'm talking about north of Perth as well. So just about every comment I'm about to make relates to Perth and everywhere through WA, so far as real estate is concerned. I had a chat with a very prominent real estate agent over the course of the week, and he felt that over this last week, just leading up to the end of last week, people have, in his terms, he said, they've put the queue in the rack for 2021. There's just nothing left to happen because people are off Christmas shopping, finishing up school, packing up, heading away for, around WA for their little holiday breaks and getting their boats and caravans organised. People are preoccupied. And so therefore the real estate market over the next couple of weeks is probably going to be a bit dead. And I dare say that, it's not just him that would share that view. That said, in the last 7 days, up until the weekend, there was still another 1,008 property sales through Perth. Like 1,008 is just a really, really big number comparatively. For the last 3 months straight, every single week, we've been reporting sales in excess of 1,000, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100 generally. And as I said, it's just 1,008 in the last 7 days. So that doesn't actually correlate with what Mr. Real Estate Agent said. There's still so many property sales happen. That's about 9% up on where we were in the same week last year. So same week last year was 915. Again, not short of a busy sales period, really, really busy, but we're up 9% on where we were last year in terms of the number of sales that are actually happening. Listings, that has been some movement that we've seen in the last 2 months, and we've seen an increase in supply. So we got down to almost 8,000 listings through Perth, and that was really on the low side, but we're back up just above the 9,000 mark. In fact, we're almost exactly the same as where we were in the same week last year. So just over 9,000 listings. That fear of missing out in many cases seems to I wouldn't say it's disappeared, but it's certainly it's been pegged back quite a bit in terms of the fear of missing out because there's more supply, but we're still seeing that same level of plus 1,000 transactions every single week. The data coming out next week, TV, it'll be really interesting to see the data next week because that will report the week that we're in right this minute, and just to find out if the number of deals actually goes down. I dare say it will, but until we see those figures, it's probably a bit too early to say. So in summary on the sales market, everything just remains really consistently strong, but we've seen an increase in supply just in the last couple of months. Nothing concerning. If anything, it's actually a good thing, but the number of transactions remains the same. Rental market, we're just in a rental crisis. It's as simple as that. I got off the phone just before the show to a dad that was asking me if I can help his son out, son and his friend. Every property they've applied for, they just don't, they get to the home open and there's 15 other cars there. They get disheartened and they don't want to apply for the property because they know there's going to be other applications. They don't have an extensive rental history. They've got great affordability, but no matter what, we've just got a rental crisis here in Perth, and that extends into regional WA as well. So in the last week, 713 rental properties have leased. This same week last year, it was 1,011. So another 300 more properties had leased in the same week last year. But as I mentioned before, now that we're at just over 700 in the current week, that's not we're not saying that we're the demand for rental properties has dropped off. What we are saying is that there's just simply not the number of rental properties in order to achieve that higher number of 1,000 properties. If there was the number of properties out there, I definitely think we'd actually be leasing them, but the supply is so low. Just on that, our supply at the moment is 2,183 through the Perth metropolitan area. This time last year, it was 2,723. So that was about 19.8% more this time last year than where we currently sit. Our vacancy rate is well below 1%. And by that, I mean it must be around about 0.7%, which is way too low. And our rental crisis continues. There's not enough properties coming onto the market. Rents are going up. And I dare say that homelessness is increasing in Perth, and that's just not a very pleasant topic, especially around Christmas time. And we always touch base on Geraldton just to see how the rental market is going over there. Currently, if you're looking at renting in Geraldton, there's 41 available properties in the whole of Geraldton. So we know that that's very tight. It has been a little bit tighter a couple of months back, but at 41 properties for the entire population of Geraldton, and for this time of the year, it's very low. It's way too low, and they're very much in a rental crisis over there as well. That's basically it, TV, in terms of our local sales and our rental market, and not too dissimilar from what we've reported over the last couple of months.
So you're still going through some challenging times when it, that's your profession when it comes to the rental market.
Yeah.
So you're still going through some challenging times and still getting qualified people, and yet you just can't find them a property, or you've got too many qualified people for the one property. Is that still happening?
100% TV. And, we're not talking about cars here, people missing out on a car purchase or a boat purchase or buying a push bike or something like that. What we're talking about having that basic fundamental need of having a roof over your head. And it's nowhere near the case of getting the property that you want. It's all about just getting a property. It's it touches on that human side of me having to deal with so many people that are after the one property that I've got available. And each time there'll be 3 or 4 really good applications. Ultimately, you'd rent the property to any one of those people, but obviously the property can only go to one family or to one party. And then you've got 3 leftovers that are sitting there saying, well, what's wrong with our application? And the answer is nothing. There's absolutely nothing, but I've only got the one property. So, and many of them are under housing stress, where the property that they're in has sold, so they have to move, or the lease has come to an end, or they're relocating to Perth. The number of people that I've been dealing with that are relocating to Perth, and they're trying to they can't even get here to have a look at the property before they apply for it, and they're trying to compete with the number of people already in Perth that are lining up at 20 or 30 parties deep just to have a look at the one property. So, mate, it's horrible. It's a horrible time out there for people that are looking to rent a property. And yes, I'm seeing that every single day.
Which sort of gets to me to a couple of things, is that this time of the year, this is when people, not so much now, but once Christmas and New Year is done, that's when people get transferred, they move locations because of their job, etc. That's going to put more pressure on the situation that we already have.
Yeah.
And you talk, let's use Geraldton as a classic example. And I'm sure there's, as we both know, there's plenty of other regional areas that are under the same sort of pressure. But let's use Geraldton as the classic, where people get transferred. There's only 41 properties available for rent. Now, if they're a government worker, you'd like to think that the government have got housing in place for these people. But if you're not a government worker and that housing is not in place, and you're planning to move or whatever the case may be, or relocate because of work, where are you going to find a property to live? Because it's tough to buy and it's even tougher to rent. So that's going to create further challenges in that New Year period, would it? The way I see it.
Mate, I entirely agree with you. I mean, we talk about our mining boom and the pressure placed on housing, on rental housing, as a result of the mining boom. Now, it's massive pressure, and there's massive rental increases when the demand increases, and there's a couple of components to that. Firstly, a company such as BHP in the areas such as Headland and Karratha and Newman, where they've got operating mines. Collectively, they own about 2,008. BHP owns about 2,800 properties, and that's not even enough for them to house their own staff. And the reason why they own these properties is not because they see real estate as a good investment. It's because they find it so difficult to find the right people and then locate or rather relocate and place the people in these townships where they need to be to be involved with the mining operations that are local to them. And so they bought a number of properties over many years. And so right now they've got almost 3,000 properties. There's also people, though, that and employees of these companies that 2,800 properties is not enough. So then they have to actually go to the private rental market, and then they get subsidised from BHP with $500 a week or $1,000 a week to go towards renting in the private market. Now, those other people that are living in Port Hedland or Karratha or in Newman that were used to paying $400 or $500 a week and aren't employed in the mining sector, if you've got someone coming in over the top of you willing to pay $1,000 a week or $1,200 a week, how can you even compete with that sort of a rent when you're used to paying 500? So, and that's just one example. There's many other examples of that. So, and what's the answer? I don't really think there is one. There's certainly no short-term fix. But we've been talking about that basically all year. I think we had both hoped, and everyone in my industry had hoped, that we'd see an easing of pressure in the rental market by about now, but we just haven't seen it. If anything, our rental market is tighter. In fact, it definitely is. It's tighter today than where it was 12 months ago. By almost 20%.
Hey, listen, we're not talking just to on our own. I've had a couple of lovely messages.
Are we?
Yeah, no. I've had
that's a change.
I know. But I've had Hayley send us a message to say that she settled. This was earlier on when we were talking about, you were asking questions about settlement process, etc. And she said she settled 7 different properties thus far in my lifetime. The best settlement I've ever had has been with Champion Bay Settlements recently. So there you go.
That must be paid advertising, TV. Have you paid Hayley to jump on? And
look, I did. I sent her a massive Christmas present. No, that's not true. That's just straight off the bat. That's out of left field. So, and I said thank you. And then we got a lovely message from Mary Jane Bailey. I know Jane very well. She's not only a friend and a client, but also she and her husband Nick involved in the Jordan Golf Club. And she sent a Merry Christmas to us both, to all. So
fantastic.
I'm guessing she's including those 2 people that are standing on your head as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks, Jane. We appreciate it. So it's nice to get a little message and a thank you, and realise that we're not doing it. We're not just doing it on our own. Hey, the other thing that I go one step further, that now that we know that the borders, the borders come the 5th of February.
Yeah.
That is going to put, that time frame is going to be one hell of a time frame when it comes to borders and housing pressure, etc., etc. I still believe, and I've said this 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I think we've both said it on more than one occasion over the last few episodes, if not prior. We talk about the property market, but this is a busy and robust property market when the borders have been closed and there's been lots of restrictions around the traps. And not only that, we then have an international borders that are closed. Heaven forbid what's going to happen, I think, when that changes come the 5th of February. I seriously believe, not that we have a crystal ball and let's watch this space, but I seriously believe that our market's going to have even more pressure on there because of some of the things that people see as a positive with regard to what's happening here in WA. But
Yeah.
I also saw a situation when it comes to tourism that people are concerned about coming to WA because they are how quickly the border the border restrictions can change, and therefore will that perhaps have an impact on people's intentions to move here or buy here or come over here to have a look at an opportunity to buy property or invest in property? Does that have a reverse situation? Is that a possibility?
Mate, I guess just my opinion on that second point that you just made about the border issue with WA. I personally don't think so, because by 5th of February, or if it ends up being 5th of March, or sometime in the first quarter of next year, when we finally do open the borders back up, that's when we've achieved that vaccination cutoff rate, which I think is meant to be 90% at that point. And really, I think that's a bit of a landmark in terms of learning to live with COVID, as opposed to hoping that COVID just goes away. And I think WA, and I think the rest of the country, and almost the rest of the world, is just getting on with learning to live with COVID. And so in terms of future border closures, I don't think we're going to see that. And I really hope that we're not talking about closing the borders in certainly the second half of next year. So I don't think that will actually be a problem, because our vaccination rate will be exactly where it needs to be for WA, but also around the rest of the country. But going back to your original point about the increased housing pressure of opening the borders, both in the sales market and in the rental market, I personally think it's just a no-brainer that we will see. I mean, we've got so many jobs over here in WA, and probably ones that aren't even in the figures at the moment, that will be new opportunities available in 2022. But even right now, whether it's the mining sector, definitely the hospitality and tourism sector, nursing, teachers, there's so many positions that need to be filled that we can't find people for. And part of the reason, apart from COVID and the borders, I think is to do with housing. So I just foresee there's going to be more opportunities. There will be people that will be lured by the job market and also the lifestyle over here in WA. And that's, again, just going to place further pressure on the housing sector. So I can just see, because there's going to be more demand, but I don't think it's going to be matched with supply. Typically, that'll have an upward pressure on price. So I can see house values going up, and I can see the rental market continuing to go up. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, I'm with you when it comes to the market going up, because I think that it is the affordability. Here where I live in Vic Park, it is just, as I say, we've been away for 2.5, nearly 3 weeks. And come back, and there's houses. Our street has been sort of, our street goes through from Berwick right through to Albany Highway, so it's a fairly long street. But it's staggering the number of homes that have been for sale over the last 12 months and sold. It's even more staggering since we've been home, to suddenly see the number of houses that are on the for sale signs, and some have already got under offer and some have already got sold on the thing. So it doesn't hang around long. And I've had a conversation with a few people of late about selling, and I'm saying, look, we got to get. I suppose we got to be careful we don't get caught up with. We hear this story of the bloke next door who sold his place in 5 days or 3 days or 2 weeks or whatever, and then there comes this assumption and this expectation that everybody's going to sell their home the minute they put it on the market. Now, there's a whole range of reasons why that happens that quickly, and some do and some don't. Some of it's because don't kid ourselves with our price. Some of it's like a classic was that there was nearly 2,000 viewings of one property, but they've only had a few inquiries. And so because they're probably what they were looking for is not what location was fine, but what they were looking for, that was not the property. So I think we've got to be careful. those people that are planning to sell or those people that are selling got to be careful they don't get caught up and say, well, you talk about the marketplace, but that's not happening all the time. No, it's not happening all the time, but it's still selling quicker. There's some places I know of that have been on the market for 2 and 3 years, have since sold. So it's still a volatile market, but I just think we've got to be a little bit patient too. Not everything's going to sell in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and I guess the whole idea of it selling in 2 or 3 days, if you ask any person selling in their house, normally...
Well, that's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is, what's the focus? Like most of the time when people are selling their house, the focus needs to be getting the best outcome or ultimately getting top dollar. The priority normally is not. It's a race to see how quickly we can sell it. That's so. But because real estate agents talk it up a bit, and certainly the media talks it up a bit in terms of this days on market thing and how quickly can you sell the house, it almost has created a bit of an artificial shift in focus to, we're not now talking about getting the best outcome or getting the top price. It's almost like it's become a bit of a race to see, well, how quickly can you get a deal done? But that normally and historically has not been on sellers' minds. That's not the top of the thing at their mind. They want to get the maximum outcome, or they want to get the maximum price. And if that takes 2.5 weeks, or if it takes 3.5 weeks, that's okay. There's you don't get a trophy and you don't get a prize because you sold it in 3 days. It might take you a bit longer. So follow the advice of your educated and experienced real estate agent.
Just reminded me. We haven't done it. Don't forget, we've got our podcast comes out on Wednesdays. And for those that while we're talking about the podcast, we had a few technical issues with our podcast last episode 76. Eventually came out, but it came out a few days later than normal. Normally, it comes out the day after our live stream. So that's on a Wednesday. Our live stream we do Tuesday fortnightly. And the podcast comes out Wednesdays. But we had a few technical glitches. We got it out eventually. So for those that are doing that are listening to this via podcast, we will make mention of the fact that we haven't done the very important bit is our disclaimer, our general disclaimer, which I will make mention of. The information this podcast / live stream is to be regarded as general advice. Your personal objectives and needs and financial circumstances were not taken into account when preparing this content. We always advise and recommend you seek personal, professional, and financial advice tailored to your specific individual needs before making financial, property, and investment decisions. And as we emphasize time and time again, so important. And again, conversations I've had this week and last week with different clients for different things, asking for advice and direction. That independent advice, getting professional help, be it legal advice, be it accounting advice, be it your financial planner, those things are ultra important. And it gets back to what we're talking about, selling a property quickly. Selling a property quickly, but ensure you're getting the right advice, you're getting independent advice, getting professional advice, and giving you the right direction to satisfy your needs, not about how quickly you can sell it so someone can put their name in lights to say, look how quickly I sold my house. And I think what you're saying is to ensure that you're getting value and you're getting you're looking after you. So and that goes whether you're buying or selling.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I agree.
There's the little. Thank you very much. I listen. What we might do, I've got some general chat, but I think we might go to, which is part of general chat. But I've got a little jingle I'll do for you, which is property headlines. There's been some interesting headlines which will add to our general chat. So let's do property headlines. A little bit of Christmas flair, a little bit of, I don't know whether that was quite Christmassy is what I wanted, but I tried to get I tried to download I saw that little person. Merry Christmas.
That was my eldest who just did a quick walk past.
What do they call it? What do they call it? A photo, what do they do it when someone
Photo bomb.
Photo bomb, yeah. I was trying to get the Cliff Richard summer holiday. We're all going on a but I didn't have time to download it. I better not sing.
You
'Cause my
wouldn't need
wife
to,
says
mate. With a voice like yours, you could pull it off yourself, I
no,
reckon.
no. My wife does not get excited when I she doesn't get excited when I start singing. It doesn't do anything at all. Anyway, property headlines. One of the ones that I read, which was in the Age newspaper, and was focused on Victoria, but the emphasis was builders driven to the wall as material costs go through the roof. And I wouldn't have thought that's just a Victorian thing. That's certainly been an experience here in WA. It's been an experience in Queensland. But in the building industry as a whole, like everything else, massive pressure on everybody and on those. And I think perhaps what we might try and do is get one of our builders on board in the new year for one of our early episodes, and be it Squizzy Taylor or Casey Green, someone like that, and who've been on previously, and just see how they're going and how things are progressing. But I just thought that cost of building a home is rising faster in Victoria than anywhere else, and the closure of some leading construction firms has left a glut of projects in limbo. Now, I'm guessing some of their lockdowns wouldn't have helped their cause either. They've had, aren't they one of the longest serving lockdowns of
Melbourne is.
Yeah.
Melbourne has been. Melbourne was, I think, the most lockdown city, I think, anywhere in the world, or in the top 3 in the entire world.
I think you're on the right track. I wasn't brave enough to say that, but I think you're right. I think you may be right. But it's left hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects in limbo. And, that's we've certainly, when we spoke to the boys earlier on the year, though, I remember Squizzy, Warren Taylor from Warren Taylor Homes, saying that, they were most concerned about how things were going with trying to get, and that's got worse since then.
Yeah, just on that, that's exactly who I was thinking of. I mean, Casey Green, absolutely, but I can specifically remember Squizzy Taylor mentioning, because I think at the time had was it not Pindan? There was a Jackson Construction. I think there was a major construction group that had just gone under. It might have been
Pindan. Pindan.
It was Pindan, yeah. And we were might have been talking about that with Squiz, and he said, look, he's got his own cost pressures, basically, because if he's doing, him and every other builder, if they're doing fixed price contracts, and it's very competitive at the time. I mean, he's got his own set of competitors for that. So, you're trying to make it as financially attractive for your client to win the business in the first place. And then typically you need to provide them some sort of guarantee or fixed price for their contract. But then if the supply of materials, the cost of the materials goes up, if the supply timeframes are blown out, and therefore that increases their cost, you can see why, and just like that article that you read, TV, you can see why these guys are placed under so much pressure. And sometimes there's just nowhere to go, because if they are trying to deliver their product with a cost base greater than what it is that they have sold it for, it's not rocket science. That business model just doesn't work. So the easiest way you can't deliver a project if you're going to be running in negative territory all the time. So you often have no choice but to fold your hand.
Yep. I like the analogy one of them used that said that when your supplier says things are going to go up, if you want it, you have to pay for it. It is like having a 5-star restaurant with people lining up out the door with not enough steak to serve them.
Yeah, that's
a great little analogy. Yeah. But that's
it'd be great to have Squiz back on just for a real life update, because I'm sure he'll have some challenges that he's had to overcome just in the the 7 or 8 months since we've spoken to him. I'm sure there would be, unfortunately, but I'm sure there would be some other businesses that have run themselves into strife, because they're either going to be delivering their product at a break even, which will probably be a good outcome, but there might be some others that fall over early or over the course of 2022 because they just can't deliver at the price that they originally agreed to, because the cost of materials has gone up.
Totally, and it's sort of of huge concern. But we haven't had a chance to have a review our year that was and assess what we're going to do for next year. So have we ever? But we will try and identify a few guests for the early part of season 3. Will be 2022 season 3. Who would have thought? One of the other headlines: some of the most expensive properties sold in Australia in 2021. And I just thought, although this is not necessarily WA focused, but at the same time, I just thought it was a good little way to finish up, is that a 1,973 square metre waterfront block in Sydney Harbour, Point Piper. It was a small dwelling, a garage, a pool. It was sold for $38.5 million in March.
Oh my God. I was just about to say that probably the one in WA that takes the cake for me is one that we spoke of only about not more than 2 months back, and that was just that cracker site almost on Marine Parade in Cottesloe. It was actually Swanbourne, and it was just a little bit over 800 square metres. It had a house on it, but the house wasn't worth anything, and that sold for $13.3 million just for the land.
Yep, I remember that. I've relayed that story a few times to people. And they go, "What?"
Yeah, yep. Mate, absolutely massive for WA or for Perth. Hey, TV, just with your shirt, mate. Your shirt looks like someone's just unleashed a box of Smarties.
This is my festive shirt. I had this made some years ago by a friend of mine in Bali, specifically designed by me.
Really? Do you see what I'm saying though? It just
shows
looks
the
like
material.
A box of Smarties.
It's meant to be Christmas lights.
Well, it's very festive. There's no doubt about that.
It's Christmas lights. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I don't really want one, but I do like it on you. Yes.
I'm quite short sleeve. It's festive.
Looks fantastic. It just looks like a box of Smarties.
You don't. Thank you. Or what's those other things? Not Smarties. What's the other things you have?
I don't know, but it looks like Smarties.
Oh, come on. What are they?
Skittles.
What are they?
Skittles.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. And there was another place in was a luxury waterfront home commanding spectacular views from every inch of its expensive interiors and oversized outdoor spaces, 961 square metres, and it had several formal and informal entertaining spaces, and it sold for $38 million. So here's a shed. Here's a shed that sold for, basically it's a shed. That's all you would describe it as, a 2-story shed, including a warehouse-style space and workshop downstairs and a tidy 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment with a large opening plan. That sold for $38.5 million. And this other place, which is really flash, sold for $38 million. And then there was another one in New South Wales. Most of them are in New South Wales. It goes to show how ridiculous, well, I suppose it gets back to, there's another one that sold 560 square metre block, sold in October for $29.2 million. One in Victoria in Toorak sold for $24 million. I'm trying to find one in WA, but we're probably in the 6 or 7 million mark, other than that one, the block of land you told me about.
There's not many properties in WA that change, residential properties in WA that change hands for more than 20 mil. Like it's a pretty rare thing.
Yep. And that's what I mean about, affordability, what you're buying over there. And yet the luxurious homes that we've got here in WA are still affordable in the scheme of things, depending on who you are. It's crazy. There's one in Tasmania at Battery Point. Now my little wife will know where Battery Point is, but that sold for $5.1 million. So that's pretty good going for Tasmania. But it's just it's quite staggering. I just thought that was something a little bit different.
Yeah,
most expensive. The other thing that I wanted to there was a little article that I read about Omicron, the new variant of COVID, and FOMO, which will impact the Aussie property market more in 2022, do you think?
I don't really. I mean, I don't know much about. Is it what is it? Omicron.
Yep.
I don't think Omicron. I just don't think it will. I think the major shock value of the COVID damage has been done.
Yep.
And I don't think a new variant of COVID will really impact it too much. And or FOMO.
Is FOMO a bigger issue on the East Coast than it is in WA? I sort of feel as though it's more of an issue in the East Coast than it is WA. I mean, I know there's plenty of people out there wanting to buy, and there's plenty of people that wanting to rent, of course, we know that. But do we have the same FOMO as perhaps what's occurring or has been occurring on the East Coast?
I don't know enough about the East Coast market TV to give you like a firm answer on that. But what I would say is that the way in which they sell properties over there is quite a bit different to the dominant way that we sell properties here in WA. And what I'm referring to is over there, most properties are sold by auction. And they're just used to it. It's just part of their DNA or part of their property selling culture over there that most properties are sold via auction. And that's when you've got everyone that wants the property there at the one time competing against each other. What are you waving your hands about?
I just got a message from one of our regulars. Joe said, loves your shirt, loves my shirt.
Who? Jody?
No, not JB. I haven't heard from JB. It's not that's surprising. No, from Joanne.
She loves your shirt.
She loves my shirt. So thank you.
Yeah,
thanks, Joe. Merry Christmas, lovey.
She probably loves Smarties as well. It looks like a pack of Smarties. So the fear of missing out. And, I watch a lot of auctions actually that do happen in the eastern states, and you've got people there that are bidding for properties, big dollars too, and they have to make decisions on the spot. And what happens is, you get to these figures of 2 mil or 2.2 million, and you've got some very good auctioneers there that are saying you're at 2.15, and what about 2.155, and it's only an extra $5,000. With the logic being, well, if you were going to pay 2.15, what's another $5,000 when we've come this far? And they're playing with or working on people's emotions over there in order to get the best outcome for the seller. There is, I think, the fear of missing out over there in the current market it's on show for everyone to see, because they sell so many properties, like most properties, via the auction process over there. Not so much in WA. I think the fear of missing out in our WA market, we've seen quite a bit of it in the early part of this year. And I think the second half of this year, we've seen that subside a bit, and that's actually a good thing. It just remains to be seen over the course of next year if we see the FOMO creep back in. But I kind of hope that we don't see it creep back in, because I just don't think it's necessary. If we keep doing what we've done in the last 6 months for the next 12 months, I think we'll actually have a very healthy, sustainable, but growing property market here in WA.
One quick last one that I've noticed, and this is reflective on but baby boomers tell retirement village industry they want pools, cafes, and a lock up and go home. So they don't want lawn bowls. They don't want to have entertainment kitchens and gardens and all that. They want to have all the good things. So that's good. They want low maintenance, small kitchens and patios. They want smart home technology and gadgets are a must. The electric car charger, and they basically, we are our era is basically set to revolutionise communal retirement villages. So unlike our parents, the us baby boomers want to remain independent with an easy lock up and go home, so we can go travelling whenever we want. So that's the latest
really
when it comes.
So there's a bit of a shift there from having almost like a as part of your development, having like a community, almost like.
Don't forget, this is not aged care, right? This is not aged care. This is retirement villages. Yeah.
Yep. But up until now, and I'm surprised to hear that, but it's good to hear that. Normally they're almost providing you a lifestyle with a community of the people that are going to be co-locating with you. But now the public are speaking, or the baby boomers are speaking, saying, no, we don't actually want that. Ultimately, what we want is low maintenance stuff that we can come and go as we please and go traveling, as and when we want to. But we don't necessarily need the community group houses and we don't need you guys to make our friends for us. That's what it sounds like they're saying.
Yep. We want our independence. We want to have flexibility, and we want to make things a little bit easy. So smartphone, all those sort of things. I must admit, I've got into the smart technology, and that's something else I'd like to get. I've already said we've got a couple of guests lined up for next year. We've got someone to look at maintenance on the home. So we'll do a segment, perhaps 2 or 3, 4 times a year with regard to maintenance. So winter, summer, those sort of things. Yep. But I'd love to try and get someone. So is anybody out there, if you've got any connections with someone, love to know about technology. What's the technology that's going into homes at the moment? What are the sort of things that you can put in your home, be it security systems, smart? I've got now my reticulation now is smart, controlled by my phone. So I can be anywhere and I can look and check my reticulation. I've got a creepy crawly in my pool that controlled by my phone. So I can actually see how it's traveling and what it's doing. And I can I can turn it on and turn it off and make it climb up the wall and do all sorts of things, all by my phone, wherever I may be. So it's amazing the stuff that
it's the same with one of the apartments that I didn't end up taking it on. This is a story for you, TV, but an apartment in a brand new development in Applecross, which I didn't end up taking on ultimately because I didn't see myself having the relationship that I need to with the landlord of this brand new development. But I did learn a bit about the technology at this apartment development, and basically the whole security system of letting people in and out can be controlled by your phone. For example, if you're not at your apartment and you're out at the shopping centre and your sister gets to your place early or something, you can actually let them through the front door and let them into your apartment via your phone, and you can turn up 5 or 10 minutes later.
Right. I suppose the question I keep on asking is when we have a power failure or we have a cyclone like Saroja where everything's down for 4 days, I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, it's staggering, and it's staggering how quickly that is progressing. That sort of stuff. It's
so I think the answer just to that power failure thing is there has to be storage system, as in battery storage as backup power in the event that the grid goes down.
Okay, I think we should go.
Is it time for?
Yes, you're reading my mind. You're getting ahead of the game, but I think it's time for what's on the notice board. And you'll notice there's not quite a change.
That's because it's so good how it is.
Deary me. I couldn't change it. I thought, no, that's too good, mate. That's got a bit of spirit about it. Okay, so what's on the notice board?
It's got a bit of Benny Hill.
This will surprise you. But on the 25th of December, which is Saturday, it's Christmas Day. And
what?
Christmas Day. That's this Saturday. Did you know that?
Is this on the notice board?
Yep, that's it. The 30th, I can tell you.
You really didn't have anything on the notice board for this week, obviously.
I have. I can tell you that it's my lovely mum's birthday on the 30th of December. She'll be 92. So there you go. And one of my best mates, beyond you, he's got his 60th on the 30th of December, same day as my mum. So I intend to celebrate with him. In fact, we intend to probably catch up in Horrocks, is where he would like to go and do a bit of fishing.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that to me. Let's go backwards 1 week, though. Did you celebrate a wedding anniversary, Mr. TV?
I did. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I did. Yep.
How long ago was that?
Last Tuesday. So, and we were coming back here for that, but we got waylaid with things happening in Geraldton, so we stayed there. So we sort of had a very
on another 12 months.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. 36 years, I think it is.
Mate.
So
brilliant.
I told her this morning, I said, here I was hanging the washing out the line, and I said, how lucky are you? I won't tell you what she said. She said she loved me.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's what she said.
Yeah, no. So, and on the 31st of the 12th, New Year's Eve, it is, which is next Friday, is my granddaughter, who we've had with us for the last couple of days. She will be 9, and she turns 9 on the 31st of December. So very, very special. So Beautiful. There you go. And also December, you can tell I've been rushing around. I didn't have a lot of time to get organised like I was planning, but December is also Safe Toys and Gifts Month.
Safe Toys and Gifts Month.
I know. I can tell you're excited. But I haven't been able to find anything else, some of those little things from left field, but I'll ensure that we're prepared for season 3.
Mate, like I've said all year, mate, when it comes to today's National Bank Card Day and all those things, you've just made them up as you go. You've seen something when you're walking around Bunnings or whatever and say, hey, today's National Weed Killer Day.
I think one of the best ones was World Walk Your Dog Day. I think that was one that took the cake. There's been a few pearlers, but we might have a look back on those later on when we come back in New Year. Hey, which we're not sure, but watch this space as to when we will come to we'll have a little break for a couple of weeks, and then we'll watch this space and we'll see if we can get our promos and whatever happening a little bit better than what has been. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about the notice board. But
thanks, mate. That was exciting.
I knew you'd be excited. The other thing that I was going to make mention to you about was that. Yes, I was going to ask you. So, what have you done? A couple of episodes ago, we were talking about our qualifications and the studies that we need to do, or the courses we need to do to upgrade our professional development. Where are you at with yours? Because it was concerning me that you had until the 31st of December to have it done. Have you progressed?
I've paid. I booked my courses. I paid for them. They're all online, but no, I haven't done them yet. But I am aware that today's the 21st and my cutoff is the 31st. So within the next 10 days, yes, I will complete my Super D points. But hey, listen to this. I actually had someone, given that it's all online, right? I actually had someone offer me today. They said, hey, why don't you just give me your login and I'll actually sit down and do them for you.
No way.
I did. And I said, thank you very much for the offer, but no, I actually like doing them myself because it's a bit of revision, it's a bit of new learning, and I actually think it's pretty important. So the fact that it's mandatory is fine. So I'm sure there'd be other people that would sit there and say, yeah, no worries. No, you can do it for me just to get the points bit done. But I actually like doing it.
To be really honest, that's taken me by surprise because I wouldn't have even thought of doing such a thing. Wouldn't have even thought of being decent.
Me neither, but it was just someone that I was talking to on the phone, and yes, it got me. But no, I declined anyway.
Okay, we're coming to an end, and so the most important part of the whole program, as it has been for the last 2 seasons, episode 77 has been fabulous. We've had a great time. And I'd like to think that what we have been talking about and the different guests we've had on, I would like to thank all those guests. We've had a variety of different guests, probably not as many as we'd like at times, but we'll try and up that a little bit for next year. I can tell you I've written down a number of guests that I've identified that I'd love to have on board next year, hopefully. We will definitely stick to the fortnightly program. And isn't it funny? You sort of sit there and you do things like this and you go, right, well, I'll set this up. Fortnightly will work out well because that'll give me a little bit of extra time to prep and do a few things. And here I am 2 hours before we're meant to go live. I'm running around like a chook without a head on, trying to do whatever I'm meant to do. So,
but I bet this morning you knew what shirt you were going to be wearing.
No, that was off the cuff as well, but it's pretty easy to decide upon. But to all our guests and to all those people that have sent in messages and comments and well wishes and thank yous and asked us questions or whatever, thank you so very much. It's something that we, as I said, it's not a money-making exercise. It's something that Oscar and I do because we enjoy doing it and it's a passion of ours. But it's been pretty special. We certainly would like to get, not for any other real reason, but like to get the awareness of what we do out there, because we think there's something that can help people buying and selling property. And there's a range of other topics associated with it, be it wills, be it we'll definitely get someone in with regard to enduring power of attorneys and things of that nature. So we'll try and mix it up a little bit next year, a bit more. But certainly thank you to all our guests. Thank you to those people. And more particularly someone that is behind the scenes, but he does all the heavy lifting when it comes to our podcast, and that's Rhino. He's been fabulous and what he's done. And we will, that's the other thing too, because Christmas has got so rushed along up so quickly, but we'll ensure that we try and get together and have a little Christmas coffee or lunch or breakfast or something at some stage. But we'll do that. But anyway, thank you so much for all those people out there. Have a fabulous and a very, very Merry Christmas. But we haven't finished. We're going to do
the if question.
Did you like that?
Yes, I loved it. That was...
You did. Be honest, please. I went to great lengths to get a little bit of tit, 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 tit. Joe said, Merry Christmas to you both and thank you, she said. So that's...
Merry Christmas, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the if question, and you can tell that not a great deal of preparation, but I did ask my little princess to give me something because I was struggling. If you could have something special for Christmas, whatever it may be, whether you had lots of money or whatever the case would be, what would it be?
No doubt in my mind, a white Christmas, to take my family somewhere in the world where we could have a white Christmas.
Okay. Yep. Good.
Yes.
Do you want me to
answer? What about you, Mr. Viner?
Well, mine's not about money, but I'd love to have Christmas where I've got all my grandchildren and all my sons. I've got a son in London. I'd love to have him here for Christmas at some point where we're all together as a family, and my brother who's stuck in Singapore and he can't get away. My youngest brother is going to join Jude and I for Christmas lunch. Although, have you seen the weather? 40-something degrees it's going to be, and it's going to be like that for about a week. So, but yeah, I'd love to have a Christmas where I can share that with my grandchildren and our 3 sons and my 2 brothers together. And of course, our 2 daughter-in-laws. That's something that to me, that's pretty special because I just love Christmas. I just think it's pretty special for all those reasons. And for all those people out there that perhaps have got family in different parts and can't connect, we wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. To everybody, stay safe. We look forward to being a part again next season, to come season 3, 2022.
Yep.
But in the meantime, always welcome to contact us via Facebook, via Twitter, via Instagram. Take care, have fun, and look forward to seeing you all again. And mate, thank you again for everything you've done. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy.
No, thanks for having me, TV. It's great to be part of this, mate. And yes, have a great Christmas to you and to everyone else.
And we've got a couple of little jib jabs we're going to put on our Facebook page just for a bit of a laugh. So watch out for those. How good was that?